14th of Ellul, day 15. I was contemplating what I should say today, and I was thinking about the parsha yesterday, where we learn about Amalek, who really stresses that things are not coincidental. And as I was preparing, I was reading a story in a particular book. I thought, yeah, maybe I can use that. I put it to one side, and then I picked up another book, and it had exactly the same story. So I thought, obviously a message has been given to me that I need to tell you this story. The thing that we need to remember, that although with Rosh Hashanah approaching, we need to know that there is heavenly judgment. There are consequences for our actions. But I think the thing to emphasize to us is that every single mitzvah, every single prayer, every single word of Torah we study has tremendous power to help and to save and to change the verdict for the year ahead. There's a story told of a grain merchant who went to see the Chofetz Chaim for a bracha. And the bracha he wanted was that he would be successful in his business. You need a bracha for your business, for success in your business, the Chofetz Chaim said. You've got one of the largest grain businesses in the entire region. Nevertheless, the merchant insisted, business isn't going well. I need a bracha. So the Chofetz Chaim blessed him with success. Soon afterwards, the communists took control of the area, and before long, there was widespread hunger. And one day, the Chofetz Chaim met this grain merchant, who was now selling very small quantities of grain on the black market. How's your parnasa? How's your livelihood? The Chofetz Chaim asked. Then the merchant raised his hands to the sky and said, Baruch Hashem, business has never been better. Your bracha has been fulfilled. How can that be? The Chofetz Chaim wondered. In the past, you sold wagon loads of grain, and yet you complained about your business. Now you're reduced to selling bits of grain from a sack, and yet you say business is great. Let me explain, said the merchant. In the past, I bought and sold grain by the ton. However, grain was plentiful, and I had a lot of competitors. I therefore had to convince buyers that my grain was better and that my prices were cheaper. I had to make sure that my grain was the highest quality, and therefore I didn't make much profit. Now, Baruch Hashem, everyone's hungry. I take a small basket of grain, much of which is actually wormy, infected. I add some pebbles to the grain to increase its volume. I come to the black market and I can charge whatever I want. If anyone asks me to inspect the grain, I refuse and say, you've actually now got to pay me 3 times the price. So I make a very large profit on whatever I sell. Because when there's a famine, no one checks the merchandise. And hearing this, Chofetz Chaim said, there's a massive lesson for us. In earlier times, we had Nevi'im, we had prophets, and later we had the great Tanaim and Amoraim. The so-called market was full of high-quality Torah study, tefillah, mitzvot. So every mitzvah, every tefillah was checked carefully to make sure that it met the highest level of quality. Nowadays, there is, in effect, a famine, as it were, for prayer, tefillah, for Torah study. Whatever we do, the Chofetz Chaim said, every prayer, every Torah thought, every mitzvah is accepted with open arms, whether or not it was performed with the most elevated intentions. Why? Because when there's a famine, no one checks the merchandise. So now's the time when we can all become wealthy on Torah and mitzvot. It's easier for us now. We just have to grab the opportunity. Have a good day.